aged 11 to 15 years old. Please welcome our competitors in this category to the stage.
Devin as Wither Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Devin's 8-year-old sister, Evelyn Bush, is the mastermind behind this creation. Although Evelyn couldn't be here today, Derek is proudly stepping into the spotlight to showcase her hard work. The cosplay is made from recycled Amazon and breakfast cereal boxes. The legs are Evelyn's favorite part of the costume, and they certainly stand out with their detailed design and craftsmanship. The head was the biggest challenge to ensure it fit well, allowed for visibility, and was breathable. From Star Wars, The Old Republic. Charlie is 14 years old, and this cosplay required him to learn several new techniques. This was his first time soldering LEDs, plus sewing cloak and trousers with a pattern that required zipper fly, an invisible pocket, and a waistband and buttonholes. Charlie also learned how to quilt to create Malgus' traditional striped costume to add depth and texture. Despite being covered by the cloak, there's also a ton of detail on the back of this costume. The Queen of Hearts as the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. Made alongside their dad, this original Queen of Hearts cosplay employs many different textures and colors, along with many items found around the house. The most challenging part was making the 6-foot-tall flamingo croquet mallet. This is the first dress they've ever made.
One more time, make some noise for our kids category. All right, up next is our beginner category. Now these are cosplayers just starting their journey into making their costumes who have yet to win a major costume contest award or have only won one award before. Up first is the Tattooed Princess as Merida from Brave. The wool and silk blend dress features a hand-dyed bottom pattern with Celtic scroll work, custom applique details on the shoulders and elbows, and white ribbon cotton accents gathered entirely by hand. The Celtic knots and a leather belt were all carved and painted by hand, and the dress pattern is heavily altered and is fully lined. The bow is PVC, molded in the shape of the heat gun and decorated with a leather grip and accents. It's the Tattooed Princess. Sam Kerdig as Princess Zelda from The Legend of Zelda. Sam has been chipping away at this cosplay for 5 years. That's right. All of the gold details on the dress are hand patterned, and the dress was made from polyester satin using a medieval dress pattern. All of the bias tape details were self-made and took several methods to create. The belt is made from a metal base with air-dried clay shape, sanded, primed, and painted, and it came together fantastically as Princess Zelda. Here's Amanda as Heimlich from A Bug's Life. While this costume started as a joke idea, it soon became a beautiful butterfly. It's made from satin, organza, and fishing line hem for the wavy look. Amanda lovingly calls this hem the hem of horrors. That's right. She's used almost 50 yards of fabric. That's half the length of a football field. Damn. And it looks great, Heimlich. Here's Grey Knight cosplay as Caleb from Critical Role. Grey Knight made this cosplay almost entirely out of natural fabrics like cotton and linen to more accurately reflect the medieval fantasy setting of this character's world. It took over a month and a half to complete. The coat is dyed to achieve an accurate shade of purple, along with the gradient dye on the scarf. The toggles on the coat are made from oven-baked clay with rub and buff to create a metallic look. His gloves and bracer are made from faux leather and craft foam and were weathered using acrylic paint. It is Gray Knight cosplay. Here is Pit Zylo as Seraphine from League of Legends. The wig is constructed of a glue shell base using 3 wigs and a PVC Worbla structure so that it can detach for storage and transport. The staff is bedazzled in rhinestones and took 8 hours to 3D model and 42 hours to hand apply the rhinestones. That's right, layered fabrics like a light blue glitter mesh with a crinkle sheer base and metallic spandex tank top make up the undershirt, and the back gems are all magnetic. Pathfinder cosplay as Lunda from Critical Role. This cosplay is her first major sewing project and the reason she learned how to do hand embroidery. It has over 50 hours worth of hand embroidery on the fully boned and lined bodice, 15 yards of fabric in the skirt, and an innumerable amount of cat hair sewn into it. It's always good to have a friend. She 3D printed all the bones and hand sewed Londa's familiar Her jewelry is created from scratch. His love of Londa resulted in over 160 hours of work. It is Pathfinder cosplay. Titanium Rose as Anastasia. That's right. Titanium Rose made everything you see on the stage except the shoes and the wig. Every fabric used in the cosplay was hand-picked for its sparkle factor, along with over 200 hand-stitched jewels on the bodice, 60 pearls on the crown, and over 100 pearls on the necklace. For accuracy, this cosplay has an 18th century style pocket with an opening in the skirt for easy access. That's right. Always a big hit in cosplay.
Oh yeah.
Titanium Rose. Here's S. Rancine Art as the Gray, an original character from Dungeons and Dragons. This represents over 500 hours of work and over 3 years. The Roman-inspired leather armor was 100% hand-cut, tool-dyed, and painted out of the armor-grade leather, and this was their first time working with fur. The majority of the patterns were self-drafted for a custom fit, and the feet slide on over a regular pair of boots for additional support and height. Very nice. Here is Sky Noodle as Medicine Seller from Mononoke. The patterns from this cosplay were self-drafted, and the costume employs a range of textured textiles like cotton, polyester, diapone, and satin to create depth. Other special techniques include EVA foam work, beading, and woodworking, as well as 75 hours of hand beading on the kimono, and a corset belt closing for ease of wear. The sword was made from EVA foam and foam clay, and yes, the sword does have its own wig. Here is Elliot River as Skull Kid from The Legend of Zelda. This cosplay took 2 full summers of hard work, including 20 hours to cut and shape the EVA foam bark and frame for the hat, which was the most challenging part to make. Keeping in mind the background and lifestyle of the character, the tunic, pants, gloves, and hat are primarily made from green and orange burlap for dramatic effect, with a soft cotton fabric lining to add strength to protect against itchiness of the burlap. All of the bark skin elements are cut from EVA foam and hand-carved for a wood-like effect before being attached to a bodysuit. The most vital piece of this cosplay, however, is a small zipper that was added after some test runs and the realization of needing a way to heed the call of Mother Nature. Here is Kendra Bean as Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's. This is the first costume artist Kendra made for herself from scratch over the course of 2 months using various forms, elastic, fabric, Velcro, styrofoam fleece, and lots of hot glue. There were a lot of rookie mistakes, but after redoing most of the parts of the costume 3 or 4 times, they finally reached the level of accuracy she was looking for. One of her favorite parts of the costume is the movable jaw, which took a little invention, a little reworking, and a little bit of YouTube tutorials. Here is Indie Crochet Creations as Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. That's right. Everything you see on stage is made with yarn. Dorothy is yarn, Toto is yarn, you maybe also are yarn. Dorothy's dress is crocheted, and it took over 5 months to crochet. The basket, Toto, and the wig were also crocheted. And the wig is a crocheted beanie for the face, and the hair is made of yarn. Attached to the braids are crocheted bows. So you did some crocheting, is what you're saying. Just a little bit. That's Indie Crochet Creations. That's awesome. Here's Andrew as Jace Tallis from Arcane League of Legends. This project took upwards of 100 hours of sewing, painting, and prop processing to finish. It uses many different techniques for the jacket and vest, between top stitching, whip stitching, and lining. The hammer weighs almost 20 pounds and took 2 weeks of 3D printing, along with another 3 weeks of processing after the printing. While the hardest part for Andrew was the sewing, because this was their first ever sewing heavy project, they persevered and had fun making it. It's Andrew. Here is Katie Cabool as Clara from Barbie in the Nutcracker. The costume included a lot of firsts for Katie, including her first time beading, first time 3D modeling, and some of her first self-patterned props. Each of the over 1,000 beads on the bodice was hand-placed over the course of a month and a half, and the costume utilizes real tutu-making techniques to ensure Clara is ready to dance at any moment. Of course, a Sugar Plum Princess is never complete without her Nutcracker, which was lovingly patterned and crafted out of EVA foam, foam clay, and a couple of tears. Here's Con 319 as Carter Number 1 from Halo Reach. Con's suit is a true marvel of craftsmanship and technology. He 3D printed most of the costume using PET-G and TPU filaments, meticulously sanding and assembling each piece with Zap-A-Gap glue and Bondo to hide the seams. The suit is reinforced with fiberglass resin, ensuring durability. Inside the suit, Keaton installed all the wiring himself, featuring microphones, fans, and lighting effects. Some parts are attached with magnets, while others are glued. The midsection undersuit, a rubber fiberglass cast, keeps everything in place and conceals the strapping. Weighing in at 45 pounds. The suit is not just a costume, it's a wearable work of art. Here is Liv as Suki from Avatar: The Last Airbender. This cosplay has been in progress on and off for 3 years and is their first time working with foam smithing. Believe it or not, there are 7 layers to this cosplay, with many of the fabrics being thrifted, including a muslin kimono, a kama pants made from a bed sheet, an over kimono jacket of green silk, which is lined with satin, and yeah, 7 layers. The shield is made from a thrifted wall hanging, dismantled for the metal scroll work, and distressed with a rotary sander. It is Liv as Suki. Here is Arc Raven cosplay as Oathbreaker Knight from Baldur's Gate 3. This cosplay is made from EVA foam with foam clay details, all of which are extruded through a Play-Doh spaghetti maker for consistency. All the patterns for the armor were cloth, were self-made and designed for flexibility and mobility for the wearer. The helmet is rigged to light up and emit smoke, along with a VR headset in order to see while being worn. It is Arc Raven cosplay. Wow. Here's Charfair as Professor Garlic from Hogwarts Legacy. They used cotton leather, embroidery thread, and silky fabric to make the bulk of this costume. She created the machine embroidery files herself for all the Greek appliques. While making this cosplay, she learned several new skills, including hat making, how to make bias tape, and how to make the embroidery files she used for her embroidery machines. That's right, she also patterned the skirt, dress, and arm bracers. Luckily, Professor Garlic had 3 big pockets as part of her outfit, but she decided to add a secret wand pocket in her dress so that there is always close by. What did you think about beginner category? Oh, let's point this out. That was the beginner category. Beginners. Up next is our intermediate category. These individuals have already won between 2 and 4 major awards before entering our masquerade. Please welcome our competitors in this stage to the stage.
The Ninja, General Ninja cosplay as Klee from Genshin Impact. The Ninja name's Klee, and when she saw her blossoming starlight skin, she knew she had to make it. The fabrics for the cosplay were chosen very deliberately, especially the red velvet, which has a very flame-like quality matching Klee's fire powers. Making the outfit was a process of love and hate, and involved the most mock-ups and pattern updates that the Ninja has ever made for a cosplay. So say we all designs as breakup robe and lace from Our Flag Means Death. This style of dress, known as a robe and lace, was made utilizing historical patterns from red-threaded American Duchess and scoop patterns, and a cotton voile print on the banyan robe worn by Stead and Blackbeard from Our Flag Means Death. The entire look was constructed with a modern and historical techniques, including learning 2 new stitches to sew the bodice entirely by hand. The entire look took about 4 solid months of construction, including all the underpinnings. The chemist, stays, petticoats, panniers, and yes, pockets. One of their favorite elements of the design is the red silk taffeta lining of the overskirt as a nod to the red silk fabric carried by Blackbeard from his mother. A gentle reminder of their relationship and that you wear fine things well.
Miles does cosplay as from Horizon Zero Dawn. Miles learned a variety of new skills for this cosplay, including leatherwork and warbler sculpting. Every single element of this costume was made from scratch down to the shoes. To keep costs down, Miles used terry-backed velvet in place of the suede on the costume. To replicate the real look and structure of suede, they used 4 different layers of interfacing and fabrics to get it correct. The accessories are made from EVA foam, warbler leather, and polymer clay. The bow is entirely made of EVA foam and warbler, including hand-sculpted beads, hours of hand embroidery, and lots of engineering work. This costume took 5 months to create. Rosario as Yarnum from Bloodborne. Rosario learned a ton of new skills for this cosplay, including how to airbrush, making a vintage bustled petticoat from a vintage pattern, and make a neck ruffle. The bodice and skirts were all self-patterned, and some of the fabric and lace were dyed using coffee. A good chunk of this cosplay had to be hand-sewn, from the flowers to the rhinestones to the neck ruffle to the lace of the veil to the headpiece. Yes, that is hand-sewn too. Eternally mystic as Gileon from Heaven's Official Blessing. This cosplay took 48 hours of hard work to create. Eternally Mystic is a self-taught sewist, but that didn't stop them from self-patterning the cotton handful rows. The most challenging part of this cosplay was proportioning the costume to their height, and they are delighted to share their hard work with you today. Sean Marshall as Ghostbuster from Ghostbusters.